what I find to be interesting is the fact that despite your nickname unofficially or officially being known as the quarterback whisperer, is that you were a quarterback and then you wound up playing wide receiver. So what happened?
I just wasn't that good, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Like, folks can say
Okay.
whatever they want. Like, I just wasn't good enough. I was good, but they were like, "Yo," it was my sophomore year. They're like, "You can start a receiver right now," and I love football. This is literally all I've ever done. See my dad coach, playing in high school. My dad coaching. That's all I've ever been around. I just wanted to play, and they're like, "You can play right now." And then I thought I'd be able to make it to the NFL at receiver, not quarterback. So I'm like, I'm all in. Wasn't good enough to do that either, but um, the quarterback has just always been like so near and dear to everything that I do.
A lot of athletes, like once they can't make it as a player, some transition into sports, some transition out of it, and that's the end of it. But what is it that made you want to stay connected to the game, even though there's a certain amount of heartbreak that that goes along with it, the fact that you weren't able to make it personally? But what made you want to stay involved with football?
Ooh, it's funny. My coaches in college were like, "Well, you have to do football after this because you." I literally can't do anything else. I've never worked a job. I've never got a paycheck. I've never done any of those things. All that I've ever known and really cared about and been passionate about was football. So as soon as I got done, I immediately went like, how am I going to find a job? How am I going to be able to coach? And I wanted to coach traditionally. I wanted to be a coach on a college team, college head coach. And that's really what I had my eyes set on when I went out there and started coaching at UCLA. So that was the thing that I wanted to do. And I just didn't think that I could do anything else. I knew I couldn't work for somebody. If you know me, I just can't. I don't have the personality to be able to go into an office and just do the things that are required to work a traditional 9 to 5.
Yeah, let's go back to that moment because you're in your documentary, The Quincy Avery Effect, which is available now on Hulu, which is a great documentary. And what I was expecting going in is that I think I just expected it to be solely about the football, right? And then you have this incredible personal journey that you have gone on. And once you graduated from Morehouse and you decide you want to be a part of the game, you just picked up and you went to Los Angeles on a hope and a prayer. I mean, what were you thinking? Is the best way to put it.
I was on a fool's mission, honestly. Like the things that I did, looking back on, are crazy, silly, foolish. But it was a new coach at UCLA. Rick Neuheisel had been there a year. They weren't very good, and USC was rolling. I'm like, I want to live in LA. I think that I could go coach at UCLA. So I literally packed up everything in my college apartment, put it in the back of my Mustang, and I drove out there nonstop. And I get there, and I thought it'd be like an easy transition. I get in the office, and the coach comes in. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I want a job." Like, obviously, I want a job. What else would I be here for? He's like, "That's not how this works." He goes back to his office, comes out. I'm still there. Next morning, he gets there. I'm sitting on the couch. He's like, "What is this dude doing?" Like, I'm not giving you no job. Goes to his office, comes out, and he's like, "Yo, if you're here tomorrow, we'll talk." And I was fortunate enough. My dad knew some people that he knew had coached on his staff, and he's like, "All right, well, I don't have any money for you, but you can work for us or volunteer essentially, but your volunteer is going to be 110 hours a week." And I was good with that because I just wanted the opportunity because I knew, like in your heart, you're good at something. Like, I'm sure you know how good you are at all the things media, writing. That's how I feel like about coaching, about football. I know that I'm good at this. In my heart, like that's what burns inside of me. So that's why I did it. And I knew when I got an opportunity, I was gonna be successful.
So, working a volunteer job in Los Angeles is not exactly something that people would advise. And, here in Los Angeles, where I am and you're quite familiar with, is that it's a lot of people that are kind of on a hustle and a grind. So, as you're working those kind of hours for UCLA, how were you supporting yourself?
I wasn't really.
Okay.
I lived in the locker room and the
Did they
college.
know this? Did they know you were living in the locker room?
They didn't know no, but they didn't. They had to know something was up because sometimes I would just fall asleep in the office. I wouldn't even go to the locker room because I would be working so late. But I would sleep at the locker room, sleep in the office, coaches would be like, "Yo, go run and get us lunch." I would just grab extra containers and make sure I had something for lunch and for dinner, and then the training table. So this was at a time before colleges allowed like walk-ons and support staffs to eat. So I was just trying to figure out a way every single day. And when things got super rough, I had $2.18 for Taco Bell bean burrito, no onions, and a soft taco. And I remember these things so vividly because it just happened over and over again. And it was feeling like you can't take care of yourself is something that really like puts you in a bad spot. Like you're on the cusp of depression just because you know like how am I gonna live like this? But you know something's on the other side. So if you think about it like, oh, I'm trying to get all the way here, I don't think you can make it. It was just I got to do really good today, and I'll figure out tomorrow. And I just did that over and over again.
So, was there a point as you're doing what you love in the sense that you're a part of football, UCLA, certainly a big time program, but was there points during that where you thought to yourself, "What the hell am I doing?"
Yeah, it was a night I woke up at like 3 in the morning, basically sleep, and I'm like cutting on the switch in the locker room because I've just been so exhausted, didn't know what was going on. It was like, is this my life? And that was the last time I really cried, like a hearty cry, like, damn, what am I doing? Is this gonna work? And then I just was like, I know where I'm trying to go. I know where I'm trying to get to. And I that was the last time I was really like, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Hmm.
And was able to push through it and just made it through that day and then made it through the next one. And then I came out on the other side.
At what point did you kind of gain the confidence? Because one thing to think you can coach football, and to think specifically you can coach quarterbacks. But when did you realize, as you said, like, "Hey, I'm actually good at this. I can actually do this."
And that point in time is way later than most people would probably think. That point in time was probably about 6 years ago. And it was training Tyrod Taylor. And that might sound crazy because at that point, I've trained a lot of really good quarterbacks between first round draft picks, first rounders, all those things. But the thing about Tyrod was Tyrod had trained with every quarterback trainer in the country. But he decided to train with me and decided to keep coming back. And it's easy to say that you're the best or you're really confident in the things that you're doing. Like anybody could say that. But for somebody else to seek you out, then come get the work that you're providing and be like, he's really good. Like I've seen everybody else and I want to stick with him. That was the moment in my heart of hearts that I knew that I was who I thought I was.
I've read other comments you've made about what you do in training quarterbacks, and you referred to training quarterbacks as a calling. Why would you describe it that way?
I think that a lot of the things that I went through in my life are exaggerated versions of things that people go through at quarterback position, right? It is the most adverse position you can be in. And I'm trying to be a dad and a father and like grow all these things. And they're trying to raise a team. Like they're trying to bring all these men together in order to do these things. And I think that we're so tied together in the adversity that I face and trying to do what I want. Their adversity is different. Their adversity looks like throwing an interception or letting their team down or they lose a game because of one of their critical errors. And they got to bounce back the next day. In the same way that night when I was flipping that switch up, off, and on, I had to bounce back. Right, I could have quit right then and there and found something else to do. But and knowing that I could go through those things made me know that I could help out these young men because they're the most important people, whether it's at their high school, their college campus, their NFL city. Like I can pour into these young men and be there for them when things don't go exactly how they're supposed to.
As I mentioned a moment ago, your documentary currently available to be streamed on Hulu, The Quincy Avery Effect, about not just your personal journey, but obviously the relationships that you've built with some of the biggest names in the NFL, CJ Stroud and Jordan Love. You also coach Patrick Mahomes. But, before getting to this point where you become this known tactician with quarterbacks, um, as it relates to the position itself, what do you feel like mentally is the trait a quarterback has to have to be successful?
Resilience. Like, you got to be a resilient dude because there's so many talented people out there. Like, the streets are littered with folks who can throw the football. But when you go through that difficult moment and things get really, really tough, and I don't think fans know the effect that they have on people. And when I say this, like, Twitter damages people in ways that I don't think anybody could imagine. I see 19 and 20-year-olds who I think are so talented college quarterbacks. They start looking at their Twitter mentions and they just cannot recover from these moments, from the things that people say. And it's that resiliency to block out the noise, ignore what people say, and be able to be steadfast in who you think you are, and the way that you communicate to yourself, and being able to ignore all that. Because when you start listening to things that people say, you just become a sum of their thoughts, whether it's good or bad, and that's not consistent enough for you to be a quarterback of a team.